Welcome back, everyone, and this time in a new format called After Hours with Aurelian and Pixel. I'm joined by the co-founders of Aurelian Research, in this case, Leo and Jeremy. And the idea here is that we discuss themes and topics that we deem to be of great importance pertaining to the markets, as well as potentially discussing a few stocks here and there. So more or less, it is all about market commentary and sort of factors that we think are currently important enough to highlight. So, yeah, let's start with the first topic. So, we had this sort of oil thing, right, where the war happened, of course, with Iran and the US, or rather the conflict. And this is sort of, you can see a lot of opinions out there that people are saying on one side it's a temporary spike, on the other side saying that energy will be higher for longer. So what do you guys think, based on your opinion, how that will play out for the rest of the year and potentially also long term?
So we don't predict the future, but
Yeah,
I would say that
it's all about probability, right? That's at the
yeah.
end of the
But
day.
if you make a bad call, you're stuck with it. So you need to be careful. But I would say, actually, yesterday we posted a report on oil, so it's a good thing we talk about it today. But mm, since I cover commodity, I will answer. But we I think that oil, it's like a bit of a how do you say, like not a bungee but a yo-yo currently. So
Yeah, it goes up like a hockey stick, and then sort of you
yeah.
see the
So before the
opposite.
floor of oil, I would say, was like 60 US or something like this a barrel. Now I would say we're pretty sure it's now like 70, 75, the new floor. So should not expect, if there's no war tomorrow and new regime and everything is nice, it won't go to 60 again. But what I think that most people don't realize currently, and I seen it everywhere on X, on all the sell side research I read, on buy side, everywhere, you would see that people think that the oil is going up because of the geopolitical risk, of course, but they think that demand is still there. But if you look more closely, you would see that actually when oil is over, I would say over 100, but maybe even over 95 a barrel.
You see demand destruction, or
Yes, a
Mhm.
lot. And
Yeah,
that's not priced in yet. So that's why our take is mostly that we see oil going down in this sea of like 85, 80 maybe. But it should take some months, with the war. But if, because we think that Iran is really weakening currently, so I would say they could. It's not going to last that long, but you never know. It could have been 1 month, but we know for sure it won't be this long. But
Mhm.
it's really hard to predict whatever happens. But in the end, I think the most important is not to say like, oh, okay, it's going to end in 2 months and oil is going down, or it's never gonna end. You just
But
need to
being
separate.
flexible.
Yeah, is it going to end and we start going pulling back below 100, or are we going like the bull side, the
Mhm.
fanatics with the ads that say like 200 WTI oil for bull cycle 2 years? I don't think so. So our
Mhm.
side is not like short oil, but we are really bearish oil.
Mhm.
So that
Yeah,
would
I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely tend to agree, especially on the long term side of the coin, right? But from my perspective, I thought that the demand destruction really starts from after 110 or so, at least from all the research I've seen. So
Yeah, usually
there's
you
some.
see this,
Hmm.
but what I think is the even more accurate would be that there is even demand destruction at 100, since there's so much inflation and everything.
Hmm.
So that would be even worse.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
another factor people are not thinking of, or maybe some are, China currently and for the past years, it's really not going well in China. They always make it appears like it's a paradise, but it's not. And as soon as they not recover, but as soon as China decides, because when they decide they step back in, the everything goes up in demand. I think that it will
Hmm.
oil will go down.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't
I
have
mean,
the chart with me, but I had a
yeah.
chart really clear. Like you have India, you have Japan, you had China, and China was at lowest level. And as soon as they go up,
Hmm.
like supply meets demand, and if
Hmm.
so,
I mean that this also sort of plays out with sort of the news we've been getting the last few days that China and Pakistan are at least trying to draft some sort of peace proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which is
Mm.
a bit ironic in a sense, right?
they need their
But it
own.
makes sense really with given the oil and also the demand that they have and the amount of oil that's coming from the Strait of Hormuz. So the way I see it currently is that I think given that this conflict has started already, it's very hard to bring bring sort of what's the saying? I think bring the paste back into the toothpaste or something like. Essentially, it's already out there, right? And it has happened. It's very hard to withdraw from the U.S. side. So I definitely agree that this would be sort of perhaps longer, would happen longer than we sort of expected initially, right? Because usually, the first day this sort of came out, everybody, the news cycle was at least making it seem that, oh, this would end in 2 weeks or something, or in a week, right? But as we've seen in this conflict as well, that this is different. This is again the same kind of thing with Ukraine, right? Just a bit differently in terms of,
That's the point. You
yeah.
you need to not predict it, but you need to put take aside. Is it going to be next Ukraine, or is it going to be like, okay, it will eventually fade away, like a bit like Palestine? Now it's almost done. I think
Hmm.
never done, but it doesn't make the
Certainly,
headline.
markets is lower, yeah. But
Yeah,
I think something we haven't, at first everyone thought it was going to be 1 week or two, but Trump basically he uses the media and his announcements to
Yeah.
kind of like use those as points for the debate and the discussion he has with the peace talks. So you never know. Like basically every announcement can be used for his discussions, and you really never know where it's going.
Mm.
But at this point, I think it's going to be really tough. Like the U.S. looks like it is in position to be more weaker than it used to be, especially after the few first days. Like,
why are you saying this?
well, Trump
Weaker?
he wants to leave NATO, because he doesn't have support from the other countries.
Does he
The
really need it?
I mean, I think what
No, of course it's not meant, but
Mhm.
You're sending like 4K Marines.
I mean,
I don't
what
know
I
if you saw the prep video, but
but
I
if
would
you
be
did
really
that,
scared if I was an Iranian soldier, to be
no, for
honest.
sure. The
You
issue
send
is if
two
he does
Navy
that,
SEALs and
he's
10
gonna lose.
soldier are, you know,
Sorry.
like the force. I don't know if how you say it, but
the imbalance of the power dynamics,
Yeah.
sort of
yeah.
what you're trying to say.
But I think what Leo is trying to say is that Trump like he always been. He's protectionist, and he's like excluding himself and the US of everything else. And
Mhm.
yes, it's weakening the US. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, and
Does it, Leo?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and also it's it's the fact that basically what I was saying is that in the discussion he has with Aaron, he looks like he's beginning to be more of in a lower position than he used to be, where now he will need probably ground troops to get it done. But if he
Ex-
Mhm.
does that, he's going to lose support from many people in the U.S. There's not elections, but
Midterms.
midterm, thank you, that are coming soon. So I think he
Mhm.
doesn't want to do that. No one wants to repeat what happened in Afghanistan, and he said I think he said multiple times in his campaign, like, I'm not gonna start a war like
Yeah,
Obama did, like everyone else did.
And
So
he's doing it.
oh yeah, so well,
yeah.
But
I
you have
think
a good point.
if he does that for a week or two, he takes all the leaders, take put a puppet government, gets out. I think that was his goal, but now it looks like it's
Yeah.
turning tougher than
Mhm.
at first.
Yeah.
Because in
So,
the US, like
mhm.
Leo said, it's like everyone, not everyone, but most would love Trump's, and the one that loves him love him like really
A lot.
highly.
Yeah.
You could have rising food costs, rising oil, rising everything, taxes.
I mean,
But
the polls are already
but
going down quite a
if
bit.
let's say 1,000 U.S. soldier Marines died in Iran, like Leo said, it wouldn't be the same
Yeah.
thing for the you would lost. I read a piece on it. It was like, is it the end of the Trump Candyland? I
Interventionism.
think,
Uh-huh.
and the consumer index of like, do we like Trump or not, and how does the consumer feel,
Mhm.
was going really down. So
Yeah, the polls. Yeah.
Leo makes a good point.
Yeah. So, from my perspective, and I also really agree with Leo in that regard, is at least communication wise, he tends to be very sort of contradictory, right? One day he's saying, "Oh, well, we don't need NATO," right? The next day he's saying, "Well, where are you guys? Where are you? I need your help, so to speak, or we need to form an alliance, so we escort the vessels out of the boats out of the strait, for example, to help with that." So personally, the way I see it is, I think even militarily speaking, that I mean I'm not a military expert, of
He's
course, right?
bipolar.
But even if you have, let's say, 4,000 Marines, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you're thousands of kilometers away. You're going into a new territory, and a territory that has over 1 million troops, right? So even, and it's not the same as, let's say, like Colombia, right? Where, well, the sort of they
It was
changed the
written
government,
for.
but they really didn't in a way, because it's still the same. So I think, at least in the short term, his optionality is limited. So, and that also makes a bit of sense, because just 2 days ago he said, "Oh well, we want a peace deal even if the Hormuz is closed," right? I mean, like, why would you say that? Maybe he speaks a bit too much, right? But it doesn't scream like, "Oh, I have strength," right? It doesn't come from a position of power. That's what I'm trying to convey. So I personally think that it will hold on for longer, but and it is riskier the longer this goes, right? Because of the oil price. But as you said, demand destruction, that could very well become an issue, and then inflation, right? Which
But there's not
also,
there. Yeah,
mhm,
there's
which
something we didn't say, but to
mhm,
be honest, I was wondering how long they could sustain this, because currently it's okay, but I don't have the cost with me. But
mhm,
if they go not full scale, but
a
higher
little,
scale,
yeah.
each day the US is in the Middle East with like 4 carriers of F-35 or something like this. It costs billions.
Yeah.
So, and the US is already really not rich. They think they are, but the debt they have, it's kind of
Mhm.
really bad, So I don't think he can afford a full scale war with Iran for 3 years. It's not
Mhm.
like Ukraine and you send some old furnitures, It's
Yeah.
it won't be that easy.
Yeah. In that regard,
And
uh,
it's US soldier that would
yeah.
be in, so that's
Yeah.
not like sending other guys. It's
Of
your
course.
guys
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think it's better for US that it
Mhm.
fades away, and the maybe the conflict can change of
Mhm.
shape.
Mhm. I think that it's hard to make a definitive judgment, as you all said, right? Because part of that is you have so many factors that speak for it, so
Yeah.
many factors that speak against it. Like you have the sunk costs on one side, which I mean, he's already in there. He has incurred immense political just capital in of spending on the Iran war, like symbolically, right? Given that he's losing a lot of his approval ratings. But also, as you said, they're spending a lot of money, even if the US can finance that without any troubles. It's sort of begging into question the credibility of the institutions, right? Which, like agencies like the S&P, right, that sort of grade the how likely they are to pay back the debt, right? That sort of gets into question. So
Yes.
um, there's a lot of moving parts there, but at least from my opinion, ultimately, I think that it's going to drag out, and perhaps we might see oil higher, but I have a hard time seeing it go past 120.
Hmm.
That's just from my perspective. Maybe something changes, and
It's the
we're in
most
here back in
important
2 weeks,
fact.
and yeah,
You're right on this. Like 100 to 120. If we
yeah,
go over 120, start being really, really anxious
yeah,
because it's not going
yeah.
to end really well.
Yeah, exactly. And this also sort of ties in with a different topic that we have, right? Which is sort of the macro policies, like the Fed, for example, right now with the interest rates, right? So that's also something that ties in together, and it's hard to, as we already said, make a definitive judgment on that. But at least from my perspective, and I'd love to hear you guys' opinion, is that. Certainly we will see increased energy driven inflation, right, which is a temporary supply shock due to the Strait of Hormuz closing, right, and all of the infrastructure being hit. And but you also have slowing market labor on the one side, and if you were to sort of think of standard economic policies, right, you would say, oh, they should just increase the interest rate, right? But given, if you take into account that it's sort of a supply side issue, increasing interest rates would be misapplying economic policy.
Hmm.
So, what do you guys think on that sort of front, and how do you see that becoming potentially sort of a drag on the Fed?
Well, I think, well, of course, they're always, but they're really in a tough spot right now because you have, as you said, the two drivers in that going in opposite directions. But I think the oil prices are not going to be sustained, in that region, and the U.S. Consumer right now is paying 25% more on gas when they go to the pump. Like it's a real impact for them,
Yeah,
and already that's since the inflation in 22, you've had people's jobs, haven't like salary hasn't gone up, inflation has gone up. Like this is still inflation is still not very high at the moment, but
yeah.
people still don't have buying power in the US. Like it's very tough. And now you're seeing employment on the rise,
Hmm.
especially with the
Yeah,
AI layoffs.
delinquency spiking, right, on the car
Yeah,
loans, for example.
yeah, true. Yeah. Um, so no, I think it's a tough spot. We're not bullish, especially for me for the economy right now, and we try to diversify into we like small caps, so we have small cap defensive names is what we try to see as a solution right now. We also have a bit of commodity, which can be good in those situations.
Hmm.
Not
Uh,
right now.
yeah, but to diversify in the long run, like
Yeah, yeah.
keep some.
Yeah.
And But I think the mistake is just to invest fully in S&P 500 at the moment. Like I think that's not something we really want to go away from right now, because
Mhm.
I think the risk is higher. The multiples, are high on the S&P right now, and you have basically, AI hasn't increased revenue heavily for companies, hasn't cut costs heavily now. We're not seeing really all the AI improvements yet. So it's a tough spot. I
Mhm.
think there's lots of uncertainty with Trump as well. We're not sure where to go. So I think being in a more defensive manner is the way to go for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do you see that, Jeremy? Do you have something to add to that from your perspective?
On the Fed, to be honest, not that we don't look at it that much,
Yeah.
since we never buy with the crowd, or like we never buy anything over 15 billion, so if Trump moves the rates up or down, from but he doesn't do it himself, I know he would like to,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
but it doesn't really matter to me for energy,
Mhm.
I think the labor market, okay, it's important, but energy wise, i don't see I don't see a big link.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
we stick
think,
to the playbook. Our playbook is to find quality companies that are
yeah.
very cheap, and that they're trading an attractive
Yeah,
valuation,
of course. Yeah.
growth. So no matter really what the geopolitical event or what Fed is having right now, like yes, it applies, but there's no change really to the philosophy. Maybe in that time we'll have a bit more defensive names. We cut down on certain um, let's
Risk.
say positions that ran up and that were becoming more risky.
Mhm.
The playbook that we have, we still follow it.
Yeah, I mean, the main issue with that is usually that liquidity starts to dry up, as we've seen in quite a lot of micro caps and small caps the past two
It
weeks,
doesn't
right?
really happen in
So
our small cap, to be honest.
yeah,
I
I
don't think
mean,
I
mhm.
don't think that liquidity is an issue for Pix Leo. Never really been.
There's one that I know, but like,
Oh, okay.
no, and it's not broad. No, it's not a broad issue
Maybe
for
Leo
us.
knows
Mhm.
more than me.
Mhm.
But we don't fish in the $5 million. We're fishing
Mhm.
more in the few billions. So typically, the liquidity
No,
is
but yeah, what I'm saying is that when you see hedge funds or big funds pulling out of Brazil or like this, and you see people talking about big flows,
Mhm.
usually it doesn't really matter in our thesis. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, because it's very uh, bottom up approach. I was just sort of saying that the short term volatility perhaps increases, right? But
Yes.
that does not matter if you have a long to medium term thesis and you see the fundamentals still play out the way that you originally laid out in your thesis, right? So this is sort of something that I tend agree with definitely. And I just think, from my perspective, at least on the Fed part, I do watch it a little bit, right? Because it can be a role for the commodities you hold, right? For gold, for example, it
It's
can be a
important.
pretty, yeah, it can be a pretty big factor. And I passionately think that worst case, I cannot make a definitive statement, right? But I think the probability, at least for the next few months, is definitely on either hold or potentially, if some things in the short term change, maybe even a higher likelihood of sort of cutting rates rather than I don't see I just can't see a sort of
Otherwise,
environment happening where, yeah, where everybody will push for rise, and also the Fed, everybody from the Fed members will come to that agreement. I just have a hard
Mhm.
time seeing that, at least for now. It might
But I
change
think
by the time we get to September.
the
So
safe bet to assume, in my mind, is
mhm.
that there's no way they're going to aggressively cut rates, because if inflation picks up again, especially now that the the job market is really tough in the US. It's really tough to just get a job.
Yeah.
There's
You get
low
out of college,
wages.
there's nothing, like Leo said.
There's what?
There's nothing. If you're not 4 on 4 GPA, good luck.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
recent grads, it's really tough. And if you have that, again, that crazy inflation, let's say
Mhm.
that happened 22, 21, like if something close to that happens again with the
Mhm.
current employment, like that would be absolutely horrible for the US consumer. And 100% like the government in place would gets lots of backlash. So
Mhm.
I don't think you can aggressively cut rates at the moment. Can you continue on the path of cutting rates? In my mind, yeah. But are you gonna see like lots of basis point cuts in the next quarters? I don't think so.
Yeah, only if something
But
very
he
bad
can't.
happens,
Yeah,
that something breaks, but
Yeah,
that is to bank on that is
he
very
can't really cut or rise
yeah.
the rate because they should technically the Fed only and ever the goal is to rely on data. So if they follow the data, technically they always do the right decision. But maybe
Yeah.
sometimes they are too late.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
always too late, but
Yeah.
would we
Yep.
be better than them in doing this? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a lot
big
of data.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I also see that already partially sort of affecting your guys' decision making, at least when we sort of last talked about it. I mean, sort of cutting down on some of the winners perhaps, and maybe also raising a cash position, right, in these sort of
So we have a
environments. It can be.
zero
Yeah.
equally weight, so there's no cash.
Yeah, of course, in the index, right, in the Aurelian index. Yeah. Yeah, and also, sort of moving to a different topic, but also similar to that is, so we have sort of seen how high energy costs in Europe are shifting sort of to chemical manufacturing back to North America and Brazil. So chemical industry is one of the topics that you guys cover. So how do you see that sort of industry currently doing, and perhaps how this sort of environments impacts your picks, so to speak?
Seems like a question for me. So for
yeah, he's
chemicals,
a chemical guy. Yeah.
we're out of announcement. We can say it. Doesn't
Hmm.
really matter.
Yeah.
So
That has been a long term holding. Like we've been holding this
since
company
August,
since the yeah
since
since
before Leo, I'm holding it. So it's been
Hmm.
a long time. I can explain quickly. Uh, I would say but we've been in chemicals really really before the crowd. Even you would see it on Bloomberg on our X that maybe chemicals is the it's buy time, but we were
Mm.
I saw the trend really early, I would say. So we kind of proud of it, but been a bit of luck. But it's been a long time, and I think when you're up like this and the thesis went your way without, because to be honest, my thesis wasn't really bullish chemicals broadly. It was only on Huntsman that
Hmm.
I saw as a really good 6 to 1 year old. It would still be a old, like it's up today, but just sometimes we want to we cut one and we see early setup and we step up in a new one. That's kind of our mindset is a rotational strategy a bit. So
Hmm.
for chemicals, I would say I'm really not surprised of what's happening currently with oil up like this. And we spoke to industry experts on chemicals and to companies that sells produce chemicals, and the the big picture currently is that, like, okay, we are sending letters to our clients that our price are going up like x2, like a double,
Yeah.
but they are saying it's only because oil is up like this. So as soon as oil goes down, if it does, it would all goes down with it in chemicals. So we are not really bullish chemicals currently.
Hmm.
So
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and what would you sort of say, at least for the audience listening, is are at least in this environment sort of actionable things you can sort of
I would
say
not be
do?
long chemicals
Hmm.
because it's too late. Like maybe I'm good, maybe I'm not, but we've been long chemicals since August. If you're stepping in right now, maybe it's a bit too late, like when it becomes too clear that it's a long, maybe it's not a long anymore.
Hmm.
So the thing is, in chemicals there's a lot of
Misunderstanding.
misunderstanding.
Hmm.
So some people, Leo, don't so there would be a
Mine is not perfect either, Jay. Don't worry.
it's okay, it's okay, what I'm saying is good, so it doesn't matter. So for actionable, you in chemicals you would have like poly poly polyethylene, it's like
Yeah.
polypropylene, polymer, polyurethane. So there's sort of big we don't do petrochemicals, so you can
Yeah.
put it aside, but there's been like a big rise in polyethylene.
Polyethylene. Yeah.
They're tough to say, huh?
Call it PE.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
So
You
PE
confuse.
is up
Yeah.
because of higher oil, okay? But
Hmm.
if oil comes down, of course, it's going back down. And with China, that is producing a lot, demand, if you look at the right data like we do,
Hmm.
it's equal, so
Hmm.
there's no point in rising, like Leon
Hmm.
Del Basel is up 60%, but it should be up. But it's not because the team is better right now. So it's
Hmm.
really complex. But I would say I won't go in details about our next thesis, but we pull out of Huntsman, and the, yeah, it's just before. So in chemicals, you need to avoid just playing the commodity and trying to be like, okay, this company makes more construction insulation with chemicals. This company
Hmm.
is more roofing chemicals. This company is plastic for cars. So if you identify which one makes what, because I hear a lot of times I'm long Leon Del Basel because I think this. Okay, but do
Hmm.
you even know what Leon Del Basel does? Like, it's polypropylene. Are you bullish polypropylene or not? Like,
Hmm.
it goes together. And sometimes you have people that are long Huntsman and don't even know that they don't do
Hmm.
any PE. Like, so it's not a
Hmm.
good pairing of stocks. So that's why we have identified a new trend as early as last night.
So it's fresh out of the oven.
Yeah, but it was in the making.
Yeah.
But I kind of saw a big sell side initiated coverage of two of the stocks I have at my top list. So I kind of thought of it before them, maybe. So
Hmm.
so it's a usually when this happens, it's a really good sign. So
Yeah.
this should be, but it's chemicals. So we should be right back with a pick on chemicals, but it won't be the same
Hmm.
product as
It
what
will
people
be,
think it would be.
yeah, different
Let's
niche,
say
so
it
to
like
speak. Yeah. And I'm hearing a lot of skepticism on sort of the duration on the oil part. So just to sort of ask another question in that regard is, what sort of factors are you guys looking for that might perhaps change your mindset on
for oil.
gold, for oil? Yeah, I think I said gold, right? Yeah,
Yes.
I mean oil. I mean oil.
I would say currently we're like in between. When
Hmm.
Iran started, I was really bearish and was like, oh, okay, first thesis was like Iran is going to last 4 months, so we're still
Hmm.
like 2 months away, so we kind of chill. But our thesis could change, but I don't see why I would go in the side of the, like we said earlier, the 120
Hmm.
and above price. So maybe currently we are in the side of 80 to 90, and it should be lower. But maybe we can go to 90 to 100, but I don't see why we would pick the side of over 100.
Hmm.
So for the factors you said that would affect
Yeah,
us
the
changing
judgment. Yeah.
our side would be if it becomes to appear like next Afghanistan, or like they sending thousand of soldier, and they don't look like they're just going to say hello, So
Hmm.
the Leo. So this would be a big factor for us. If it looks like it's going full scale,
Hmm.
it's really hard to back down. I mean, it's Trump, but it could be longer. So if it seems like it's going to be longer, we would see our old price for longer, but
Hmm.
we won't say longer like 2 years,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that since you live in Europe, we can talk about Europe, but I think Europe is in a really, really bad position, to be honest. It depends where you are in Europe, but I think they relying on the bad horses. I would say it like this: like you
Mm.
can't be okay. Russia is my friend, or Iran is my friend, and out of a sudden, just like Trump did with Canada, oh, we are you are our enemy, and welcome to the real world,
Yeah.
So if Russia, when Ukraine start and they plug out the valves, how do you say, like
It
the
turned
oil
off.
was
Turned off the.
coming
Yeah.
in, yes. Well, Germany was in big trouble, So now they just looking for who can sell me some, But everyone
Yeah.
is at the table at the same time this at this moment. So kind of a higher price environment for them. You see, and they use a lot of nat gas, I think. So currently, nat gas is,
Mm.
I don't know if you pay your electricity or it's include, but it might goes with a bit of raise.
Yeah, I mean that sort of thing depends on it's a country by country thing, as you sort of stated already, but for sure the security of supply is one big sort of
And when
bottleneck.
you secure supply, it costs a lot.
Yeah, I mean
There's
there's
a
a lot of
premium.
talks with Canada, right? And I mean there are parts of energy that we import quite a lot from the US, but it's a question of how in this environment how much you can rely on them as a good faith partner from that perspective. So that sort of thing, as you already stated, that
Yeah.
it's questionable
And I
on.
saw a really good graphic. It was on the top is a table with bar chart, like what is the American consumer thinking the oil is coming from, and
Mhm.
below it was another bar chart, and it was like where does it actually comes from, and it
Mhm.
wasn't the same at all. Like the U.S. consumer thinks their oil comes from mostly Saudi or US itself, but it's
Mhm.
like more than 50%. It's Canada, so maybe they
Yeah,
should be more friendly with us, because
yeah.
we
I
can send
mean,
to Germany and send some tankers, because from St. John or from Vancouver, it would be really easy for us to just. It's not even dangerous to pass this way. So
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, sort of the energy independence of the United States is I don't think it's as great as marketed. Part of it is because all of the oil that they produce, right, which is mostly like crude
they
oil,
don't produce that
they
much.
don't have. Uh, well, they produce 30 million
No,
barrels.
they say they produce the
Yeah.
most, but in the end, they don't have much left.
Yeah, on the Permian basis, right? Because you're exhausting the tier one assets. But essentially, the other issue is that most of the refineries are heavy oil, right? So that's where the dependence on Canada comes from, because they're a big exporter of heavy oil to the United States. And I mean, you could theoretically use them for light crude oil. It's just that the efficiency would be 1/10 of what it would be, especially if you want to produce diesel in that regard, right? Which is what the heavy crude oil is used for, and why the United States has such a big surplus of that. So yeah, that's. I don't think it's as great as marketed or as it's being framed in a lot of public
Maybe
conversations
we
for
should get
the
long
independence.
Canadian nat gas producers and say that Europe is going to buy some at high price.
Yeah, I mean the other part is at least for Canadian oil producers, right? As sort of seems to be like the political will is at least shifting a little bit, and perhaps you could look for
More friendly,
opportunities out there. Yeah, you could look for opportunities out there where they start slowly exporting their oil in other jurisdiction, in other regions where they get a better price, right? I mean, when you sell to the US, it's sort of you're selling it to somebody that's, you have to say, sort of satiated with energy, right? In a
it's
sense.
like
So
Canadian cannabis when we sell them to Germany,
yeah,
like double price.
yeah,
So it's
it,
really really good for us.
yeah, exactly. And I guess this sort of comes to the end of our conversation. Are there any last things you guys want to mention?
We didn't talk about fertilizer, but it's kind
Mm,
of a big thing currently, but it's still early in the thesis, so it's hard to make a statement. But we did a big primer on fertilizers, and actually we're doing a really interesting one, posting tomorrow on drones. So it's a drone primer with like
mhm.
two actionable IDs. So this could be
It's
interesting.
the drone has been shifting the industry. It used to be this super like
Exponential, yeah.
yeah, it used to be tech. We're like unsure technology, who's gonna buy this, like it's just some R&D. Where now you have clear like demand, either defense or civil demand for both the drones. So the
Yeah.
industry is shifting, the time is getting bigger, and there's
And the
some
institutional demand is huge. I mean, we started with Swarmer, right? When they
US
launched.
Gov is signing the contract. It's not just capex now.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
it's spending from the buyers.
And there's also, at least in Canada, a big institutional. I mean, defense is really sought after currently in
Yeah.
the sort of institutional spaces within Canada, because this is sort of a space that's starting to become very of big importance for Canada, and we've seen that also with some names like Firan Technology, right, where
Mhm.
they didn't maybe deliver the best sort of financial statements, right? The best the sort of the numbers, right? But uh, the gains came from all the multiple expansion, at least the last four to, I think it's been 2 months or something.
Yeah.
So, and part of that has to do with the news cycle on defense.
FTG, they've been completely loved by the market.
Yeah.
It's I was in a conference in Toronto in October. It was like a small microcap conference, and I think it was like 200 companies. Like it was so many small and microcap companies, and FTG was the one that had the most like attention from
Yeah.
investors. It was half retail, half institutional, and everyone wanted to go see them.
And we didn't buy it, Leo.
And we didn't buy it because at that time I thought the multiple was already starting to get a little bit,
ahead of itself.
not sure. But then it's skyrocketed, 60 or 70%.
Yeah, momentum is up.
Yeah. Momentum was strong on that name. We had another one, Killian Group, which we preferred, which did extremely well as well, like the same themes. But
yeah, that was also very, very
it's
well
better,
covered.
I think. Management is more strong.
Yeah.
I mean, FTG is also pretty strong already on the sort of execution side as
The
well.
cycle is great from FTG.
Last thing I would say is that in the end, I think with Carney, I think Canada knows that, to be honest, anything that US would produce for us, we can do it ourselves. Like if it's okay, maybe we don't have the facilities to do F-35 for war, but we can do any airplane or any drones or anything local. All the engineers are there. Canada is not third world country, so it's just government spending, and it will fuel the workers, and it's workers that are really well paid. So at the end, it's really good for our economy. So I think we have the right mindset in place. Just need to continue on this path, and maybe we will have less of a recession than the US, hopefully.
Okay, I thank you for thoughts, Jeremy, and you as well, Leo. It was great to have you guys on, and
Thank you, Lucas.
yeah,
Thank you again. Always a great discussion with you, Luca.
Always fun with Pixel.
Yeah, and I can just say to all of the listeners, just check out Aurelian Research's work and sort of have a look at these guys. They're pretty sharp, and yeah, have a good day, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.